Coming up, from bitter cold to possible heavy rain, the latest on flooding concerns this week.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. With heavy rain set to roll across the Commonwealth, emergency response crews have their eyes on the skies this week. Jeremy Tom spoke to Wolfe County Search and Rescue about the potential for high water in eastern Kentucky.
Kentucky's mountain communities are still thawing out from a week's worth of extreme winter weather. But Wolfe County Search and Rescue is already preparing for heavy rain to move in.
You know, up in that neighborhood of 8 to 10 inches of snow that was on the ground already. And then if you put some rain on top of that, you know, you can certainly get in a situation where, you know, rivers and small streams can start to rise.
Chief John May says adding up all that precipitation could quickly make for an unwanted outcome.
You know, it's not like you have a lot of time to plan for it. You know, you may just get a phone call in the middle of the night like we did back in 2022.
Eastern Kentucky continues to build back from the events of 2021 and 2022, both of which weigh heavily on the minds of May and his neighbors.
I've got a friend that works in Breathitt County, and she was telling me this week that a lot of people have mentioned to her that they're pretty nervous, you know, about the potential for flooding.
May says you shouldn't let those nerves consume you, but it will be helpful to stay weather aware throughout this week.
And keep an eye on those creeks and streams that they may live next to. And if they start to see those, you know, getting elevated or starting to come out of the banks, then they should take action.
Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
May says his swiftwater rescue teams are ready to take action themselves if needed. They spent the weekend inspecting their boats and life-saving gear ahead of the incoming rain.
We are tracking some mainly dry weather across the mountains as we close out your Tuesday, but some of us looking at a few showers as we go into this evening. Up on First Alert Pinpoint Doppler, zooming into the Mountain Parkway, also close to I-64 from Estill and Powell counties into Menifee, also Morgan County and into Rowan County as well. A few light sprinkles or light showers there. And same story in the Big Sandy Valley for Lawrence County into Wayne County, West Virginia. Nothing too heavy, but a few sprinkles are possible as we go over the next few minutes there. Those current temperatures, most of us still in the 50s at this hour, up to 52 in Pikeville, 53 in Jackson, and 50 in London, also in Somerset. Most of us fall into the lower 40s as we go into tonight, possibly some upper 30s in those cooler pockets. And again, most of us are dry, also cloudy tonight. A small chance of a passing sprinkle or shower, but higher rain chances on the way by Wednesday, also on Thursday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. As the city of Hazard continues to deal with water system issues, Mayor Happy Mobilini says the community also has to do their part to keep water in the system. He says the city will notify the community if they are going to shut your water off. And recent social media posts have been the reason possibly some water tanks are depleted.
We'll announce if we're cutting your water off. People get on here, these Facebook pages, or they'll call. It says the city cutting off water. The only time we cut off water is if we have to valve it off to stop a leak. We'll notify people if we're going to cut their water off. Now, if you fill up your bathtubs and the tanks run dry, you cut your own water off. We didn't do that, but it takes a while to get the water back on.
For those that have water, there is a system-wide boil water advisory in place. The city and county will be providing water distribution locations, and the Hazard Pavilion is open each day for people to take a shower. Several people in and around Bledsoe and Harlan County are without water. Some community members say they've been without it for weeks. They get water from the Black Mountain Utility District, which says the water issue started after a power outage. Harlan County Magistrate Paul Caldwell says they are working hard to get water back into homes.
As of right now, they are pumping the water up Pine Mountain. We had an issue at Baxter, and they couldn't fill the tanks up here on Pine Mountain. And then when they get it filled, they'll fill the tanks on Bigelow. And then when we get that tank filled, it'll start flowing on out toward 221.
Caldwell said early this afternoon that he hopes the water is back on within 24 hours. Officials in Pike County are urging caution for Mountain Water District customers. The district reached out to Pike County Emergency Management Monday, posting a PSA to keep customers aware that the system was experiencing the same kind of shortage we're seeing around the region, preparing for possible breaks and leaks. But officials say they do believe the hard work to keep things together is paying off.
Fortunately, we haven't seen that. We've been able, people turn those faucets off. The weather's starting to, turn, and so far we've been able to hold on without any major outage areas.
Olson says it's still too early to say whether more breaks will be an issue, but she encourages everyone to contact the department if they notice any leaks or suspicious water flow. The district number is 606-631-9167. Police are looking for a missing man in Harlan County tonight. 34-year-old Jerry Foley was last seen January 15th in the Mary Alice community. He's 5'8", 155 pounds with blue eyes and brown hair. If you have any information, you should call Post 10 in Harlan at 606-573-3131. Former President Donald Trump has won the 2024 New Hampshire Republican primary, defeating former UN Ambassador and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. But Haley has vowed to stick it out. CBS's Skylar Henry caught up with voters at the polls.
CBS News projects former President Donald Trump the winner of New Hampshire's Republican primary. CBS News early exit poll data shows New Hampshire primary voters are unhappy with how things are going in the country, including 1/3 who are angry about it.
Things wouldn't be happening the way they are right now if we had a Trump administration right now.
Republican primary voters say the most important issues are the economy and immigration, a top driver for Donald Trump supporters. The former president greeted a vocal crowd in Londonderry this afternoon.
There's never been a movement like this, Make America Great Again, in the history of our country.
His voters are eager to see him back in the Oval Office.
All of his policies when he was the president coincided very well with my foundational beliefs.
But former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has been drumming up every possible vote in this independently minded state, and many voters found her message appealing.
She just adds a very optimistic energy to the room, and that's who we want to lead our country.
Just some stability and normalcy back to the party, I think is so important.
Haley has said regardless of the outcome, she intends to push through to next month's contest in her home state of South Carolina.
This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
I don't care if she stays in. Let her do whatever she wants. It doesn't matter.
CBS News exit polls show New Hampshire primary voters are more moderate and independent than Iowa caucus goers, with about 1 in 5 making up their mind in just the last few days. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
CBS News also projects President Joe Biden will win the Democratic primary in New Hampshire. Now, his name was not on the ballot, but supporters mounted a write-in campaign on his behalf. A Kentucky community is rallying around a family after they lost their primary source of income. Earlier this month, Ron Flickinger and his son were hauling a food truck to Lexington for a corporate lunch when the trailer sheared itself off the hitch and caused them to crash. Flickinger's van was totaled, and the trailer was no longer in roadworthy condition. With nowhere else to turn, Flickinger asked his customers for help, but promised something in return.
We need help. We're appreciative of it, but I didn't want to just ask for people to give us money. So for me, I wanted to be able to give back for those who helped me.
Flickinger added he and his family are excited about the opportunity to reciprocate the community's kindness by giving their time and goods back to them in the future. With pallets full of cat food, dog food, litter, puppy pads, and more, one Whitesburg nonprofit spent the afternoon breaking through the plastic to send pet items out into the community. The area community centers each grabbed a load of supplies from Appalachian Pet Pantry to take the products to those who can't make it to the operation site outside of Wagging Tail's Pet Resort. Those involved say it was a labor of love made possible by the company Chewy and the Humane Society of the United States, helping them in their mission to keep area animals healthy, happy, and home.
Our role in that is in our community, we want to offer spay-neuter programs and pet food and supplies and vaccination programs so that people are less likely to surrender their pets to the shelter.
The organization runs on donations, and Richie tells us tonight all of the pet food was distributed. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, powerful testimony at the state capitol as a committee votes on a bill to protect students from sexual misconduct.
Plus, we are tracking some more wet weather for the middle of the week. Your forecast on the way after this break.